Time being 4:30, debate will now be interrupted for the consideration of the petition signed by 10,000 or more persons listed on the business paper. I set down the resumption of debate. All right, I've said that, so I'll call the member for Kiama.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Today I rise to speak on the issue of coal seam gas after tabling a 20,000+ signature petition following a Stop Coal Seam Gas rally outside this Parliament in November 2011. I sincerely thank those members of the community, in particular those passionate citizens from the Illawarra South Coast and Southern Highlands who signed this petition, in addition to those people who felt this issue of such supreme importance that they took up the opportunity to trigger a debate about this matter in Parliament by working to collect this very sizeable petition. Congratulations and thank you for your considerable efforts. Whilst I know we acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land at the beginning of each sitting day, it's appropriate to do so again, given the significant impact that CSG has on lands cared for by the nation's first people. I have never been backward in coming forward to express my deep concern about the effect that coal seam gas extraction has on aquifers and agricultural land. This deep but healthy level of scepticism remains true today. My electorate covers some of the most beautiful parts of the state. Places like Kangaroo Valley and the Southern Highlands are precious and pristine environments and comprise prime agricultural land. The need to safeguard food security alone is a good enough argument to ensure that these areas are not subject to coal seam gas extraction or testing. At this point, it is appropriate that I acknowledge the President of New South Wales Farmers, Fiona Simpson, for her strong advocacy for a group for which we share a passion and commitment. I believe that Ms Simpson has every right to raise her concerns on behalf of her members, and like her, I too want to see a policy that will restore balance and provide certainty that is required in this debate. Ms Simpson has raised her concerns about the limitations that are proposed in the draft aquifer interference policy. Specifically, Ms Simpson has raised her concerns that aquifer policy seems to deal with post-exploration activities which only have any effect after any damage is done by drilling or bulk sampling. I sincerely hope that this concern is given serious consideration by the New South Wales Government, and I outline my concern in relation to this matter today. The New South Wales Liberals and Nationals announced prior to the 2011 state election that they would adopt a precautionary principle in relation to coal seam gas licences, both in terms of exploration and production. As a result, the O'Farrell government has not awarded a single new coal seam gas exploration or production licence and has not renewed a single existing coal seam gas or exploration licence or production licence since its election to office in March 2011. In effect, the government has a functional moratorium on awarding or renewing coal seam gas licences for almost now 12 months. The New South Wales Government last week announced a proposed draft strategic regional lands use policy, which includes an opportunity for consultation and community input for 8 weeks. The draft code of practice is a landmark requirement that hasn't existed in this state for far too long. The government proposes that these rules will apply to licence holders to ensure strong standards are set for coal seam gas industry during the exploration stage. The draft code sets minimum standards of conduct expected of licence holders, and once implemented, the New South Wales Government expects the industry to comply fully. I know the local members, such as myself and my friend and colleague, the member for Heathcote, will certainly be vigilant to ensure that this is the case all round. The draft code also establishes best practice framework covering community relations, landholder involvement and the use and protection of water resources. I've strongly encouraged local residents from across the Illawarra, Southern Highlands and Shoalhaven who are concerned about coal seam gas and the fracking process to have their say, and I was pleased to see that this very issue was raised as a matter of concern in the recent 2021 forum held at the University of Wollongong. In particular, I'm encouraging all interested parties to comment on the draft code of practice for coal seam gas exploration and the new guidelines for community consultation, which clearly set out requirements for licence holders to effectively and properly engage with the community and to be of the satisfaction of the Director-General. I want to see transparency at every stage of the licensing process, and these guidelines ensure that, for the first time, local communities get to have a say. Given that the Liberals and Nationals went to the last election promising to return important planning and development decisions to local communities, community engagement must be the central component of any proposed mining or coal seam gas activity. The new community consultation guidelines require 1. Detailed advertisement of exploration licence applications. 2. Evidence of effective community consultation. 3. Annual reporting of community consultation, including how complaints and feedback has been dealt with. 4. Contact with the general managers of local government councils within the area of the licence affected. The New South Wales Government recently extended its moratorium on fracking pending the completion of a review by the New South Wales Chief Scientist into fracking processes and well design. Rather than politically motivated reasons for issuing licences like confetti with no strategic or planning consistency, sound process and scientific reasoning should be the sole and only path when dealing with such matters of supreme environmental importance and agricultural significance.
Thank you. I call the Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Firstly, let me begin by congratulating the Stop Coal Seam Gas Illawarra for organising this petition. I note that it's a further 2,000 signatures on a petition we received today. And this is a very important petition, Madam Speaker, because this is a petition that is a reflection of the views of the community, not just in the Illawarra, but right across New South Wales when it comes to coal seam gas. An issue that cuts to the heart of the integrity of the O'Farrell government. And before I start, Madam Speaker, I just want to make one point very clear, that in November last year, I made it abundantly clear that all sides of politics have rushed too far into the issue of coal seam gas. But in November last year, I also made it abundantly clear. I also made it clear that the Labor Party acknowledges that this is an issue that we need to hasten slowly, and I have called on the government to push the pause button on the coal seam gas industry. Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, I acknowledge the interjection of the member for Drummoyne and say that I did do it last year, but thank you for reminding everyone. Madam Speaker, for those on the other side, it always hurts when you tell people one thing and then the truth is exposed. Government's tougher than you realise. Madam Speaker, coal seam gas is an issue that is impacting right across the community. And the O'Farrell government was elected on a promise that it would deal with its strategic land use policy, a promise that it would identify areas where it would rule out where coal seam gas would actually be allowed to be extracted. But what did we see when this plan was reduced? What we saw is what we've come to expect in less than 11 months. A government that can't be trusted to keep its promise. A government that constantly said in the lead up to the election they'd do one thing and then in office do something completely different. A proposal, Madam Speaker, that will allow the Minister for Planning to sit at the Cabinet table and ignore the scientific evidence. Madam Speaker, coal seam gas is an issue that ought to be treated with caution. Coal seam gas extraction ought to be treated with concern, because what we know, I'll come back to you because I know you were doing a Tamworth Hospital, mate, 10 years ago. Madam Speaker, what we've got here is a set of circumstances where science should be allowed to prevail, not politics. And I know, and Madam Speaker, what I know from here is that we have a government who is not prepared to listen to the science. A government that yesterday had a chance to show how serious they were about their moratorium. A government who had a chance.
The members will come to order. A point of order, member for Bathurst.
Yeah, Madam Speaker, the opposition leader is misleading the House, and I'd like to
that's not a point. Just resume your seat.
Standing Order 73. Improper motives have been made in relation to what has happened in the past in relation to coal seam gas.
You raised a point of order on misleading the House. That's not a point of order. Order.
Madam Speaker,
the Leader of the Opposition has the
Madam Speaker, what we need to allow to occur is for the science to determine this proposal. And what we've got is a government that yesterday could have voted in favour of a moratorium but chose to vote it down. A government that says that they've got a virtual moratorium in place. A government that had the opportunity in the other place to vote with Labor and support a moratorium. But what did they do, Madam Speaker? They did what they've done for the last 11 months. They went into that House and they voted it down. And why did they vote it down, Madam Speaker? Because they're not fair dinkum. A government that's not fair dinkum. A minister that's in the pocket of the mining industry. A minister...
the member for Kira will find himself out of the chamber.
Madam Speaker,
Minister.
I seek a withdrawal of that remark because that impugns my character in the most gross way, that the actions I take as Minister
All the gallery members will be removed.
are for a pecuniary purpose. That is a serious reflection upon me as Minister, and I require now, the Leader of the
I do ask the Leader of the Opposition to withdraw that remark.
Well, Madam Speaker, if there's any character at all that was offended by that, then I withdraw.
Thank you.
Madam Speaker, what should happen?
This is the man who gave us the explanation.
Madam Speaker, this is the man who's going to sign up on the man who won't allow a moratorium. Who won't allow people to be heard.
Order. Perhaps we could have a sensible debate on this issue rather than interjecting and arguing across the table. I'm sure the members of the gallery are interested in what each side has to say on this. And I warn members of the gallery they're not entitled to make any sound, I'm afraid. Despite their frustration or their emotions, they will be removed from the gallery if they continue to do so. I call the member for Heathcote.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise today to address the petition requesting moratorium on coal seam gas mining. You may recall in my very first speech in this place I discussed the concerns of my constituents regarding methane gas exploration in the electorate of Heathcote. I quote from my speech: "The water sources from the Illawarra and Southern Shire must be protected. I will represent the many concerns of my constituents and make their voices heard." Since that time, I have faithfully relayed that concerns of my constituents to the relevant ministers and the Premier, who have responded with action. I've also stated publicly that our water sources are sacrosanct and that I would never support an activity that would see them compromised. Over the past 12 months, the New South Wales Government has announced several waves of tough new controls on the coal seam gas industry, and more regulation will be announced in the future. In July last year, the Government strictly prohibited BTEX chemicals and banned the use of evaporative ponds. It was declared that the extraction of more than 3 megalitres of water from groundwater sources would require water access licences, and protects with the potential to affect agricultural resources will have to submit an agricultural impact statement. At that time, the moratorium was placed on the process of hydraulic fracking until 2012, pending the completion of an independent review process. That moratorium has since been extended to at least April this year. Fracking standards are being reviewed by the industry experts and always be peer-reviewed by the chief scientists and engineers, Professor Mary O'Kane, prior to the implementation. New South Wales Government is currently reviewing a standard of coal seam gas well integrity to ensure all activities are contained within the well and prevent the potential escape of any gases or liquids. The review is considering local materials with particular focus on Queensland and other countries, including US and Canada. Madam Speaker, I support the spirit behind this petition. The coal seam gas industry requires extremely careful management with regards to health, safety and environment risks. However, the Government has shown it is more than willing to be able to achieve this through careful review, reforms and regulation. While the previous Labor government granted exploration licence seemingly on a whim, the Government has already imposed the most stringent environmental requirements ever applied, and there's still more to come. We have acted to ensure that the future applications must be approved beyond a shadow of a doubt that the proposals are safe, and they're environmentally safe and will continue to do so. I signed that petition myself, and I'm proud of doing it.
Thank you. The time has expired. I call the member for Kira.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to say from the outset, I thank every single one of those people in the gallery. Many of them are from the communities in the Illawarra and the community that I represent. There are many thousands who are not here today who have put their signatures on an issue that is particularly important to our local communities. I know there are some, and particularly on that side, who think that this is just a protest from the green or environmental movement. Let me tell you it's not. I have lived in the Illawarra. I have lived in the Illawarra all my life. And over the 34 years that I have been there, I have never seen the level of community concern that brings several thousand people out to a beach just north of me on a cold and miserable day, and then again a couple of months later to walk that famous bridge, and at each and every time they meet hundreds and hundreds and hundreds in the community, mums and dads, students and seniors express their concern. They're concerned and they are worried.
Order the member the Leader of the Opposition, you've had your chance.
They are worried because, believe it or not, they might actually think that we should put water before gas. We should put the protection of our Sydney Water Catchment Authority that just lies north of the electorate of Keira before anything else. That is an absolute privilege that each of us have. That is an absolute privilege that each of us have, that we can drink safe, clean water each and every time our families turn the tap. That is something that each of us in this place should never underestimate the importance of. I want to thank the opposition leader, because let me tell you, because in the opposition leader, you have someone.
And the member of the entrance will come to order.
To listen to the community and change a public policy. That takes guts, that takes leadership. And while all of you sit there and get your stupid speeches written by your ministers, why don't you stand up for your community?
The member for Kiama has risen on a point of order.
In spite of the fact that no one writes my speeches, that is not relevant to this debate, and he should come back to the lead.
I'd ask the member to address his comments actually through the chair. Member for Keira has the call. Member for Keira, time has expired. Government benches will come to order. The member for Balmain. I'm not a temporary speaker.
Madam Speaker,
that's okay.
Temporary speakers today, I seek leave to make a contribution.
Is leave granted?
No. You're joking.
Leave is not granted. The discussion of the 10,000 signature petition having concluded, private member statements will now be proceeded. Are there any private member statements?
Yeah, the standing orders is she's allowed to give me the opportunity to make a 3-minute contribution.
I'm sorry, the member for Balmain. I asked for leave. Leave was not granted. That is the standing order.
Disgrace.
It may well be your...
It just shows you that I want
the member for Balmain, please. That is the standing order. Perhaps you should have cleared it first.
Oh, well done, colleagues.
Well, it's up to the members of the gallery, chamber, as to whether they are granted.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to move a motion to allow the member for Balmain.
No, too late. I've already moved on, and I've asked for private members to begin.
You're a disgrace.
And the member for Keira will remove himself from the chamber. Private member statements. Member for Liverpool. Thank you.
Madam Speaker, I rise to draw the attention.
We'll clear the gallery. We'll just wait. I ask for the gallery to be cleared. Special constables up there at least, shouldn't we? We'll just take a pause. Members just remove themselves from the chamber for 5 minutes, thank you. Members remove themselves from the chamber for 5 minutes, thank you. Including the member for Liverpool. Just remove ourselves.